All right, everybody, as we head into the House of Mirrors, we're starting the eclipse season, and it's going to be a Libra lunar eclipse. What's interesting is we're ending our eclipse cycle in Libra. We started with a solar eclipse in Libra. We're going to end with a lunar eclipse, and then the next new moon will be the Aries total solar eclipse. How about that for a beginning? And I'm doing something a little different because I ran my space heater too long. I'm feeling a little lazy, and possibly because of the energies that I'm already feeling. Where do I begin? Well, I called this the House of Mirrors because of the I-Ching splitting apart, specifically says House of Mirrors. But if you really look at what's happening in the astrology, you have the Piscean backdrop, but 4 planets there in Pisces, so a very dreamy environment in the background. And then in the foreground, like out for everybody to see, is the Libra lunar eclipse. So it's a full moon and it gets eclipsed. And so there's this splitting apart. So you put all that together, and I really think you get not just a possible transition, but I think you get a House of Mirrors. Dreambot, really weird. Dreams, people use the word weird all the time for dreams, but in this case, I can't make heads or tails of it. Last week we had the global spiritual war. This week, the global part stays. Food is dropped. Food is no longer in the runs anymore. Jesus is gone, but sin and other spiritual things are there. Global is all over the place. So it's definitely still global. And 2023, of all things, has risen to the top. We'll discuss that. Just weirdness. So I'm thinking that's House of Mirrors. Dreambot's showing House of Mirrors already. And then the Tropical Astrology, I'm going to do it in order. So Venus and Saturn are perfect conjunction. Then Mars goes into Pisces, creates the Piscean signature in the background. And then the Libra full moon, lunar eclipse, and then the rest. But that's the big stuff. High congruency score. So let's get started. We had a tie on our Best Comment Award. Ravi, congratulations. And James Dunn, congratulations to both of you. Ravi says, yes, it's the beginning of the end, but it's also the end of the beginning. We are knee deep in it now. Others appreciated that comment, and I like James Dunn's comment as well. P.S. Time keeps on slipping into the future. Thank you, Steve Miller Band. Has anybody seen them live? They came here in this local area a couple years back. Here is our Dreambot. All right, look at that. Food is gone. 2023, I'm just trying to figure out what the heck that is. Why is 2023 continuing to go up and get higher surge scores? Meanwhile, GMT and other global words are there. Well, I noticed Robin. Robin is special to me because last few days of being outside in the back, just enjoying nature, a couple of robins have been coming up pretty close to me, not like playing with me, but within, I'd say, 6 feet. And then I had a client who lost their mom to 90-year-old mom, and the client claims that mom came back as a robin just to say hi and that she's doing okay. But Robin has been everywhere in my experience right now, not my dreams, just in my day-to-day experience. So I find that interesting. So I went and looked up what robin means, and we have messenger or harbinger. The robin symbolizes a messenger bringing messages of good luck. I like that. Renewal and arrival of spring. Okay, that's a match. Maybe it's just that. Maybe we started spring just a couple days ago. So there's a new rise in hope and optimism. Or it could mean good luck and fortune. Seeing a robin is often considered a positive omen with good luck and blessings. Yeah, that's awesome. And then my client with the loss of her mom, this I think is appropriate. Spiritual connection. In spiritual traditions, the robin is associated with the soul and the afterlife, and its presence can represent a connection to the spiritual realm. So there we are with spiritual again. So maybe it's another week of global spiritual war, but I'm thinking maybe the House of Mirrors is on purpose and trying to hide the fact that the global war has already happened in 2023. And I don't know for sure. But look at these other words: sin, lightly, sin, height, sounded, hidden. Boot is still there, so kind of a war context, and removed. Rusty is a new one. Unusual, arguing, unlikely, staring. So March is in there because we're in the month of March, but that's also denotes some sort of military presence. I wouldn't say it's all fighting and war, but there's certainly a global presence there, and that's weird with the 2023. So if any of you have some special insight, I'm all ears. Trying to figure out why this thing has skewed. So what we have here, this is an important chart here. Whoops. Got to move that on the fly here. I did not have that set. All right, you are here right over this eclipse, March 25th. And it does cross over in the days. It's like a midnight kind of a event, or at least in my time frame. But we end this Libra cycle. We started with a solar eclipse in Libra, and then all these new moons and full moons supported that Libra. And we end with Libra. So I think it's absolutely perfect because the solar eclipses are new moons, and that's what starts the eclipse cycle. And that's what kind of gives you an orientation to what you might want to develop, what skill sets you might want to work on for this 6 months. And then full moons are where we sort of sacrifice and get rid of, offer up. And so we're ending the Libra eclipse cycle with a Libra full moon lunar eclipse. Nothing could be more perfect to offer up maybe the excesses, because you can, when you develop skills, you can maybe develop some bad habits too. So give up those bad things or the excessive and offer those up to the full moon lunar eclipse, and you'll be in a healthy Libra enhanced state, getting ready for the Aries solar eclipse on April 8th. Total solar eclipse that everyone's talking about. Here's your weekly chart. It's basically just the eclipse. There's your energy. And back to our retrograde planets. We don't have any, but a reminder that Mercury will be going retrograde on April 1st. I've got that in the next CIRF report I've already started working on. In this week, we have Mars going into Pisces. We have the full moon. Sun is fresh into Aries. And we have a bunch of stuff going on with Venus that we'll talk about. And namely, here on Thursday, the 21st, this is where Venus and Saturn go exact. That's at 6:09 Central Daylight Time. And on 21 March, gosh, there's a lot going on. Here's your picture. This is representative of the archetype of Venus and Saturn in Pisces. It's pleasure and pain. It's indulgence and restraint. And this is with the emotionally, remember, Venus is exalted in Pisces. We talked extensively about this last week, so don't want to rehash it too much, but it's important to talk about the weathered love. I like that archetypical image. Like an old stone statue, love stands the test of time, weathered but unmoving. Hardened and committed. That's here, Venus and Saturn. They're in a perfect conjunction. And look at this. Venus and Saturn are in a parallel state, meaning that they're on the same inclination, and that really ignites this alignment. They're in two different dimensions, are exactly over each other, or in the same speck of sky, both in azimuth and inclination. So really cool, but really intense. That's why we're focusing on this. Super intense. Now, some people question probably why, if Sun's going into Aries, why are we not, emphasizing the Aries season? Well, because as you're going to see, when Mars comes into Pisces, the background signature is going to be Pisces, but also Sun is still conjunct with Neptune as it goes into Aries. So not really free to feel that fire. It's doused in water. It's really dreamy. Neptune's influence is somewhat dulls the Sun's bold entrance into Aries. But there is an Aries presence. So here you have Mercury, Chiron, and North Node all together in Aries. So that's big. So your mentally thoughts are thinking more about future healing as your future. And I think that's going to be a very pleasant part of this. So even though we're toiling with unpredictability, the House of Mirrors with the Piscean trickery and the eclipse and all that, and everyone focus in on eclipse, if you really pay attention to your thoughts, I think that's going to be a safe space-ish. Take that with a grain of salt. But if you really think about the strong thoughts while you're in the House of Mirrors, think about the future and the future healing of yourself, mainly self, but others close to you, and hopefully the collective as well. We have the moon in a waxing gibbous state, so that supports this sort of expansive feel right now. And let's move on. Here we are. We have a new energy window. So we're just coming out of the equinox balanced yin and yang state, and we're getting into more of the mystical mediator archetype, or the savior archetype as depicted by these pictures. And this is because, or this is the main instigator, is Mars going into Pisces at 6:47 Central Daylight Time. And that creates a background signature of mutual water. So that's Pisces, mutual water. Look at all the signs there. And Pisces is very strong. And then the moon is gathering expansiveness, but also paying attention. Virgo. It's a Virgo waxing gibbous moon. So it's developing, details and motivated to do things. And that's a great time for actually getting your Piscean lunar goals finished, because we're still in the Piscean lunar cycle. This period's archetype mixes the Libra eclipse in a Piscean background. That starts today, the 22nd, on a Friday. Remember, Mars in Pisces is part of that big archetype, because one of the images could be the martyr, which really supports the bigger picture, because the bigger picture, mystical mediator, includes the spiritual part of the Piscean energy and the mystical part, the spiritual part, and then the eclipse is going to be in Libra. So it's the mediator. So and this is a big window. I mean, it's pretty big, not as big as the Gold Rush window, but it's the later Taurus one after all the eclipses are done. And that video is out. But let's not go that far out in the future. Let's talk about this week. This week, ES6, Energy Shift number 6 video is in play, and it starts on the 22nd of March, and it goes until that energy window goes until about 4 days prior to the total solar eclipse. Here's the stage is set. We're feeling prepared with the waxing gibbous Virgo moon, and it's going to be transiting all through Virgo and just clips into Libra to do its this lunar eclipse. The emotions of this waxing gibbous Virgo moon can feel very expansive because there's this trine over to Uranus and Jupiter, which are trying to influence you into this very subtle energy of Taurian gold rush kind of a theme. But there's so much else going on. I can't expect anybody to be feeling that right now. But if you do, good on you. Now, we basically skip the 24th because the eclipse itself starts for some of you on the 24th, but late at night. So it's on midnight between Sunday and Monday. Midnight on Sunday night into Monday morning. It's a very long, it's like 3.5, maybe 4.5 hours of a lunar eclipse. This chart itself is the exact midpoint. That's at 2 a.m. Central Daylight Time. And you can see this is the eclipse because the moon is perfectly opposite, but also perfectly inconjunct. So on opposite ends of the inclination between the sun and the moon, that makes this the eclipse. We're in still a mutable water background signature. Even though the sun is in Aries and the moon is in Libra, the background is very Piscean. And we have a penumbral lunar eclipse. Now, I did a whole video on this, and that is going to be energy shift number 6, or ES6. I'm not going to put that video here because the rest of this week is very important. And the rest of this video, I'll put the ES6 so you can watch that next and remind yourself what this energy is like. I highly recommend you watching that again just to refresh. But I also recommend watching the rest of this video because this is a really tricky week, and behaviorally, we really need to pay attention to what we're doing. So don't go anywhere just yet. I'll put that link later. So while the overall energy, archetypical image of savior, of martyr, of a mystical mediator remains, we have this quiet little sextile here on Tuesday the 26th. This is Venus sextile Jupiter and Uranus. And so this is could be the explorers, the two explorers, because Venus exalted in Pisces is romance, is really Venus on steroids. So the two explorers are together embarking on adventures, inspired and eager to discover. Yeah, that's the Jupiter part of this, in Taurus especially. And goes well, if you really think about this, goes well with the later gold rush theme. But again, this could unlock that energy for some of you, right, on Tuesday the 26th. But if you do feel it, realize that gold rush energy is going to go on hyperdrive after the total solar eclipse window ends. But this archetype, the sextile, Venus sextile, Jupiter and Uranus, is feeling more social and friendly, pursuing new forms of creativity, taking relationships in exciting new directions, engaging in art, music, and poetry. A very positive feeling, especially relationally. And that remains on Wednesday the 27th, as well as the overall Windows archetype. So here's the I-Ching influence, splitting apart. Things are not the way they seem. That's the house of mirrors. Intrigues are multiplying like summer flies, and there are rumors of discontent. No, really? It is the time of illusion, disintegration, distrust, and deception. Yes, I totally agree. But line 4, we got to be careful because when I ran those coins, we had a change line on 4. So that changes this reading a little bit. a sense of stripping away or shedding. You may feel like it's letting go of certain burdens, attachments, or superficial aspects of your life that are no longer serving you. This could bring a feeling of lightness, relief, or liberation. And that does have a very Libra eclipse type of energy. Transition or transformation. Again, an eclipse kind of energy. Changing line indicates a turning point or a shift in your circumstances. You may feel a desire to strip away distractions and focus on what's truly essential in your life, leading to a sense of clarity and grounding. And that is a very keen thing to do at a full moon. So you're giving up, you're stripping away things that are pulling you back. Great time to sacrifice those. As you peel away layers, you may feel a sense of vulnerability or exposure. So as you give up things, especially as you give up defenses or give up ego control, you tend to feel vulnerable. So if you're feeling vulnerable this week or around the full moon lunar eclipse, it's actually a pretty good sign that you're doing the right things. Doesn't feel very good for some of us, though, to feel vulnerable, does it? Renewed energy and purpose. After stripping away the unnecessary, you may feel a renewed sense of energy and purpose as you're able to focus your efforts more effectively on what truly matters to you. All right, let's button up our summary. And here we are. Whoops. Here we are. Zoom out a little bit. March 21 through 27. It feels probably like a house of mirrors. It feels probably like some sort of a transition in place. This week hosts extreme energy shifts and increased unpredictability. The full moon lunar eclipse in Libra offers a big shift in themes of justice, balance, finance, peace, and harmony. And with that, ecliptic Libra shakeup is done with a subtle but strong Piscean backdrop that makes this a very spiritual journey that might include archetypical interweaves like the martyr, the mystical mediator, or even the savior as the overarching energy this week, and potentially the follow-on week too. Although we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's go back and shift into our solution. So you put that change line in and you get hexagram 35, easy progress. Be reminded that now that's not the energy. That's not the influence this week. This is the solution. So we're going to use the behaviors from easy progress. And here are some of the things that includes. Be reminded that progress is achieved most effortlessly when right action is taken without concern for immediate reward. Embrace forward momentum and progress. Maintain a sense of patience and persistence. Focus on gradual incremental steps rather than trying to make massive leaps. Can you imagine trying to make big commitments and big movements forward when you have a very unpredictable lunar eclipse full moon? Not advised. But it doesn't mean don't do anything, but keep moving forward, but very consciously, and celebrate small wins and milestones along the way. Now, when we transition from tropical to sidereal, we plot our full moon lunar eclipse, and we get hexagram 18 of the rave, and we get the Virgo sidereal solution. Here's the rave. Work on what has been spoiled. 18. However, line 2 says terminal disease. This was a scary one for me. The recognition that what has been spoiled is irreversible. Wow, we had the I-Ching talking to us about corruption is everywhere and house of mirrors, and it's the rave says acceptance and strength derived from a faith in spiritual regeneration, the acceptance that there is no potential for correction, meaning that it's too far gone. That's what the rave suggests. It's not me saying this. It's the rave is saying, and the eclipse is in this rave gate. And line 2, terminal disease. It means, let's just see it for what it is. Justice comes, but it can't be in the same framework. It can't be in the same world that we're living in now. It has to be in a whole new model, a whole new economy, a whole new mental construct. Truth has to prevail. It has to be different. You can't just patch up and fix what's happening. The damage is so far gone. There's no potential for correction. That's not me saying it. That's the rave saying it. So even more important is, what's the solution? All right. So look at our pictures over here. We have the I-Ching 35, easy progress. It says, celebrate the small wins. We have the rave. You can zoom in on this picture. Now, ironically, you've got the medical snake stuff. That's very indicative of what's happening in the rave here. Terminal disease. It's too far gone. And then you have Sidereal Virgo, 7-pointed star. I think that's pretty cool. And the penumbral lunar eclipse. The energy's there, or the solution that we should invoke there. So here we go. The collective level eclipse falls in a collective level rave reading. It suggests that corruption and spoilage is too far gone. At the personal level, then, it encourages us to shift to spiritual regeneration as our only option for collective concern. Correcting this spoilage is beyond what anyone in this plane can do. And again, that's the rave saying that, not me. So at the personal level, it's not a matter of giving up. It's not a matter of curling up into a ball and feeling helpless. It's quite the opposite. Accept the futility in fixing or correcting the collective's terminal illness and focus strictly at a personal level. Pour all your energy into what can be done at the small personal levels. Stop thinking about what could be done at a collective level. It's beyond what anybody can do, except for, remember the mystical mediator, the savior. It's ironic that we're in that environment, in that energetic imprint, and yet the rave is telling us there's nothing we can do. That means that in order to be fixed, it has to be more of a mystical mediator slash savior. I find that very interesting. But what can you do this week? Focus on that small personal level. That's the best that you can do for this overall condition. Think positively and find small tasks that you can do within your control, and using a very healthy Virgo mindset. What does Virgo do? She thinks practically. She looks at the details, moves methodically, small steps forward, and celebrates small wins. Also include that the robin here. Does this mean anything? Is this anybody dreaming about robins? Anybody seeing a lot of robins? I am. I'm like, these 2 robins in the backyard are like very positive omens. Even though this reading seemed to be very negative, the robin and the collective unconscious is a perfect match for me, indicating that there's a very positive outcomes about ready to be unleashed on our collective world. I also have the runes, and I want to finalize this recommendation for this time period, because the statement I chose before we get into the rune is I close out this Libra cycle inventorying my best Libra skills that I've improved over the last 6 months. And I can include in there that I also want to give up any excessive Libra things, maybe over justifying or over worried about how I look, or anything that is overage or excessive or holding me back that I've developed, then I want to give those up at the eclipse. But other than that, I don't want to give up all the Libra things that I've worked on this last 6 months. I want to inventory the things that I've improved. And remember, you don't have to have any Libra planets or alignments in your birth chart. Everyone, all of us, have some Libra in it. Even if there's no planets or no alignments there at all in your birth chart, you still have some Libra in your natal chart. So we need to be using the stars and following the astrology to best improve those skill sets to become that full person who we're destined to be, and not just focus on your sun sign or not your moon sign or your ascendant. All those are important, but we need to realize that we need all the skills and be the best that we can be. And that includes things. So if I don't have much Libra in my natal chart, doesn't mean ignore Libra. Oh, I'm not a Libra, so I don't need to work on those things. No, you do need to work on those things even more to become that full breadth of humanness. All right. So in that vein, remember, this was all a Libra cycle, and we're closing it out with a Libra full moon lunar eclipse. So I want all this to be Libra, and the balance, harmony, partnership side of things. Interpersonally, Libra is the gay boo. We've been focusing that for 6 months now. And Kanaz is more of the exterior, the beauty, the way things look, even though it also means insight and inspiration and creative fire in the inner sanctum. It also is indicative of the other Libra exterior work as well, how things seem, justice and merging of opposites. That's a very Libra thing, to balance things out. So keep all the healthy Libra improvements you made, but shed the excessive Libra things. As you're focusing highly on Libra skills, you probably develop some bad habits in that regard. So these great time to remove those. All right, we end with our overall playbook and CIRF summary. What did I miss, everybody? Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing. And I'm going to put that next video in. I highly recommend you go back and look at ES6, Energy Shift number 6 video, because it will remind you what this lunar eclipse energy is all like, but how it extends out to the whole energy window of end of March and into the very beginning of April. It's a big window, like 2.5, 3 weeks. And it has that savior archetype. So go back and watch that video. Put the card up right here. And have a great week. Have a great eclipse season. Getting the old eclipse cycle finished. And get us ready for the total solar eclipse on the 8th of April. All right, everybody. Take care. Love to all. Namaste.